What is the First Lands, who is the host they are talking about, and why do they want to go to Ionia? Let's start off this cinematic with a bit of background to everything. Vladimir says to LeBlanc the First Lands. In Ionia, there is magic everywhere, and in the beginning, it was known as the First Lands. One of the first species to inhabit the First Lands were the Vestians. They are the animal-human thingies like these champions. They lived in harmony and were 24/7 vibing in the First Lands with the spirit world until they get attacked by a race of titans from the skies who waged war against them. The titans were slapping the Vestians everywhere until the Vestians asked the spirit world for some power. When they got this power, they had become something known as the Vestia Shirei. These rats were powerful, basically immortal, and had immense power. They were then able to fend off the invaders in their new form. The Vestia Shirei lived in the First Lands for years, but over time they bred with the mortals, which made them lose their immortality and go back to being just mortal Vestians. And then the First Lands becomes Ionia. That is all we really have in the beginning of Ionia and the Vestians. There is not much lore on this. Why is all of this relevant? Well, later on LeBlanc tells us how Ionia is a doorway to the First Lands, and potentially she wants to go to the First Lands to harness extreme power similar to the Vestia Shirei, or could even have a devious plan to control the Titans or get their powers, which, by the way, both parties are incredibly strong. Then we hear the helmet say to LeBlanc, "Release me, witch, I've done your biddings." In case you did not know, the weird alien rat thingy is something called atakhan. Atakhan is a demon in Runeterra, and if you are wondering why is atakhan attached to a helmet, I would explain it now. You can skip this part if you know it already. A long ass time ago, there was a man known as Shan. This man was overpowered and had a dream to conquer all nations. He also had a general known as Katash, who helped Shan achieve his world domination. However, one day when they are resting, Katash gets attacked by a demon named Atakhan. Atakhan kills Katash. Shan noticed this and fights Atakhan and is actually able to beat the demon. Side note, demons are very strong in Runeterra, so for Shan to come along and slap him like a bitch is a testament to how strong he is. Shan then wants to somehow bring Katash back to life. His solution is to bind the soul of Katash to Atakhan, and this is literally what happens, as Shan gets some witches to bind their souls to a helmet. Kinda like Darkins being attached to weapons. And now resurrected Atakhan helps Shan conquer the rest of Runeterra. Then when Shan dies, Atakhan begins to enjoy his freedom and is tired of being Shan's bitch. So much so that Shan resurrects himself later on and comes back as Mordekaiser. And when he tries to get Atakhan to serve him, Atakhan's like, "Nah, I'm good bro, you do your own thing, blah blah blah." Mordekaiser within seconds shows off his power to Atakhan and makes him his bitch again. This is how Atakhan is formed and is in a helmet. A bit of extra knowledge, Mordekaiser is super strong. LeBlanc used to be a witch under his power, she hates this, she then approached Vladimir, teams up with him to create a plan to seal Mordekaiser. Vlad and LeBlanc do this, become besties and form the Black Rose. Then LeBlanc finds the helm of Atakhan and present day is controlling him. Hence, he is in chains. I hope I explained everything well. If you want more detail on any of this, there is more in-depth videos in the bio for the history of Noxus. I think the most interesting segment of this whole cinematic is Vladimir saying we need a host. What is this host? What is their purpose and who was the potential host? My theory is that this host is someone who would be powerful enough to stop Mordekaiser's return. Remember earlier I told you that Vlad and LeBlanc could only seal Mordekaiser? Well, that was said on purpose, as dude is so strong they could never actually beat his ass. The host would be the only one is capable of actually stopping Mordekaiser. As Mordekaiser will return, we know this because in his lore he's literally preparing to come back to the world. And I believe the potential host they lost is Mel. I mean, it makes a lot of sense if it is her, because all of Arcane we know that LeBlanc was after Mel. She tries to recruit her to the Black Rose and it all backfired really hard. Oh, also, pause the video. I figured out what LeBlanc says to the helmet. Subscribe to #champ. We also hear Vladimir say the new Grand General would never approve of another campaign in Ionia. Let's break this line down. The new Grand General is Swain. I will give a backstory to Noxus. Before Swain became a Grand General, there is a man known as Borum Darkwheel. He is the ex-Emperor of Noxus. Dude was an okay man, but kinda stupid, as LeBlanc is able to manipulate Darkwheel into getting her bidding. And long story short, she uses Darkwheel to engage a war with Ionia for personal greed where she can get some artifacts. This war is also where LeBlanc gets Darkwheel to send Swain to fight, and her aim is to get Swain to be killed. Swain is able to survive, gets the powers of a demon named Raum, returns to Noxus, is super strong with his new demon powers, overthrows Darkwheel and forms a new three-way ruling system of Noxus known as the Triferics, where the three rulers are Swain, Darius, and a third hidden ruler who is most likely LeBlanc. It's worth knowing Swain genuinely only cares for the best interests of Noxus, so to tell him to go to war with Ionia for a second time, especially as Noxus lost the first war, is a bit of a delusional task. Or is it? but I'll get back to that. Also, side note, it's not confirmed, but I have a theory that during the first war of Noxus with Ionia, Noxus is able to steal some rare artifacts from the Ionians, and I reckon that could be how she found Atakhan's helmet. Back to the cinematic. As of current Rune Terror lore, we know that Noxus does actually invade Ionia for a second time through General Swain. We see this in the Awakened cinematic. We don't actually know Swain's true intentions as to why he is fighting them. I can't imagine Swain gets manipulated by LeBlanc, especially as he knows of her existence and her capabilities to be deceptive. However, if Swain does become on board with the plan to get in contact with the first land history of Ionia, that's wild. It's possible, as Noxus does want the greatest power and strength. Then at least we would know why he is invading Ionia for a second time. I kinda want to take this section back to the symbol on the wall. When we see this in the Welcome to Noxus cinematic, I had a theory on why it is naafiri. If you want that full theory, then the video is in the bio. However, I have a second theory. I think that Dagger is Riven's blade. And before I cook, do like this video and comment how cute my voice is. Riven, we know, was brought up in Noxus. Long story short, she ends up hating Noxus as she is someone who fought in the war of Noxus versus Ionia, and firsthand sees how unethical the Noxians were against the Ionians. This makes her upset with the Noxians, so she chooses to stay in Ionia after the war. She also has a blade in her hand. The blade is an enchanted runic blade, and I know you could be like, why does that mean the symbol is specifically Riven's blade? Well, the fact we see pink petals around the symbol, which I am confident is a reference to Ionia, tells me that the dagger blade thingy is in Ionia, and the only person we know of with a special blade in Ionia is Riven. And fun fact, we know that blade is actually enchanted by LeBlanc, and we know from LeBlanc's lore that she wants that blade back. If I'm right, just know I said it first. And one last thing, her phrase about a single whisper can cut deeper than 1,000 blades is referencing her always working in the shadows and being hella deceptive. I mean, we see in Arcane, LeBlanc is best at being a hidden rat. Okay, also, please be aware I am editing, scripting and recording this video at 3 in the morning. I know I could go into more detail and everything. If that's what you want, then comment it and I will start working on that video. For now, this is brief and a race against time kind of video because the cinematic just came out. Let me know if there's any questions you have and if you vibe with this cinematic or not. Love you, bye.